Hello everyone, great to have you with us today. Our study today is going to be on the subject of Calvinism. The study of Calvinism is a fascinating study and one that's very important for us to consider. It's important because the different beliefs of Calvinism are held by almost all of the different denominations today. And so when we strive to talk with our friends and family and neighbors and co-workers about the truth and the gospel, it helps us to know where they're coming from and what they believe, and most importantly, what the Bible has to say about these things. And so for the next six video segments, we're going to be talking about Calvinism. And we're going to be explaining its beliefs, talking about John Calvin and where it came from, and most importantly, looking to the Bible to see what it has to say about all these things. Let's today talk about John Calvin. Who was he and where did these beliefs come from? John Calvin was born during a period of time called the Reformation. He was born in 1483, and the Reformation period was around the 1500s. It was a time in which the Catholic Church was the dominant religion, and they had taught and practiced many different things which were not in the Bible, and different men started to realize this. And so people like John Calvin and Ulrich Zwingli and Martin Luther and John Wesley, they all began to teach just the Bible. Let's get our churches and our disciples back to the Scripture alone. And they had good intentions. In fact, good things came out of the Reformation. But ultimately, these men and their views were based upon ancient writings of other men, not the Bible alone. And so their beliefs are not just what the Bible teaches. And some of the things in which they teach are not correct. John Calvin's work was done primarily in the Swiss cantons. And his beliefs are held upon a foundational view which is called the sovereignty of God. What Calvinism rests upon is that God is in control of all things in our life. Let me read you a simple quote from the Westminster Confession of Faith in chapter 3. It says, "God from all eternity did by the most wise and holy counsel of his own will freely and unchangeably ordain whatsoever comes to pass." And what this means is that God is in control of every single thing that happens in this life. This causes some issues when it comes to subjects like salvation and sin. If God is in complete control of salvation, it doesn't matter what I do or what I believe or if I obey, if He in the end is just going to save by His own will who He will save. This is the foundation of Calvin's views. The simple definition or the simple acronym which will help describe the rest of Calvin's views or beliefs, it's described in the word TULIP, a simple acronym. The T in TULIP stands for total depravity, which describes the soul, how it is sinful from birth, and how there's nothing that soul can do for its own salvation, either by belief or by practice. The U stands for unconditional election, that God saves whoever it is He's going to save, not based upon anything we do or believe. The L stands for limited atonement, that only certain people will be saved, and the rest will just be condemned. The I is for irresistible grace, that God's salvation is put upon us by the Spirit in such a fashion that we cannot reject Him, we cannot turn from Him. And the P stands for the perseverance of the saints. It's what we call today once saved, always saved. That once you are saved in God's salvation, you cannot lose that salvation for all eternity. This is what Calvin believes, and the basic definition of what he believes. For the next 5 segments, we'll be describing these things and what the Bible has to say about them. I want to remind us from Acts 17:11 to search the Scriptures daily, whether it be a study of Calvinism or any other thing, to always go back to the Bible and to look to what God's Word has to say about all these things. Thank you for your kind attention, and I look forward to being with you again. Thank you.